Bro, what are you searching for? I'm searching for new wineskins. New wineskins? Why are you searching for new wineskins? Because Jesus said you can't put old wine into new wineskins. Okay, welcome back. Old wine into new wineskins. Now, what the heck do we think Jesus meant by that? Holy moly. Is it about the actual wine? There might be a few people out there that might still think that. Is it about the rules that man had to live up to? Is it about the wisdom? Is it about the truth? Is it about our dreams? What did Jesus mean by all of it? I was thinking about that the other day, thought I'd share it with you guys. I love that term, out with the old, in with the new. Out with the old way of thinking, in with the new way of thinking. And when it comes to that verse, you know, the image that pops into my head is, I hate to say it, but like a group of really old guys, maybe like kind of how the Sadducees and the Pharisees looked back in the day, right? And they realized how powerful it was to keep like wisdom hidden from people. Somebody really wants to know, and they're like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to share it. You have to come here. You have to come to us to get what you're seeking. Yeah, but you need to come to us. And it's almost like they wrapped it up and they protected it. And they didn't want to share it. And the only way they would share it is if you came to them. That's just the weird feeling I get from like how kind of religion was back in the day. In a sense, maybe kind of how religion is today, where it's like the meanings are held back by the select few of people, and only they can give us the interpretation. And I thought about that a lot, and then I was like, you know what? Then all of a sudden Jesus comes around, and it's kind of like Jesus almost said, I am now going to give the power back to the person, back to the individual. We're rethinking this. Time out, people. Time out. It used to be man has to go to the authorities, to the church or whatever, in order to get to God. You had to physically go, then you had to get taught, and then, God was there. And Jesus almost was like, no, I feel like I'm going to give the power back to you, right? I'm going to give you something special. That's right, something you can take with you no matter where you go in this life. Because it's about what's in your heart. It's about what's your own relationship with God entails, and it's about your own faith. And those need to be the priorities. Because life constricting the lane in which we get to God, I don't think is a good thing, right? Because everybody's going to see God differently. Even though He wants us all to get to Him, I think everybody's going to be a little bit different in that search or on the path that they take. And we look at life 2,000 years ago, and I think the dreams have changed a little bit. Like, the dreams I had, I don't know if they existed 2,000 years ago. Like, man, I really want to get to the NHL. Maybe I could be like an NHL player. Well, that dream wasn't around yet. People didn't know what that meant. And if we look at it from like that perspective, and we look at some of the dreams we have now, they require a new way to approach them. Now, they might still have the underlying same consistencies, meaning that if you want to make a dream a reality, you got to have faith, you got to believe in something greater than yourself, you got to be willing to sacrifice, and you got to be willing to put the time in and the work in order to make it a reality. But we live in a day and age right now where dreams are big, and everybody has them, and they're different for everybody. And we live in a day and age where the technology and a lot of things around us are helping us accomplish those dreams in a way that people 2,000 years ago can't understand. I know that sounds very basic, but I think the point that I'm trying to make is that a lot of times I think, I hate to say it, but like I have this feeling like religion likes to kind of hold on to some of the old ways. You know what I mean? Instead of embracing new ways. You know, and making people feel it's okay for them to realize their dream in their own way. You know, and I'll give you a perfect example, because that happened in my life. Like, my dreams took me away from the pew in the church. It wasn't because I was a bad person or it's because I didn't want to go. It was just I just felt I was being called somewhere differently. And I wanted to go explore it. And I wanted to go see for myself what was out there. Like, imagine being an astronaut, right? You'll say, oh man, I want to be an astronaut. I want to go to space. Well, in order to go to space, you might have to leave Earth for months at a time. All the years and decades that go into training, eventually you're going to have to leave. You're going to have to get on a shuttle, and it's going to take you away from the Earth you know and show you something that you don't. Does that make you a bad person for wanting to be an astronaut because you miss a few Sundays a year? Or is the message about you are allowed to take that with you no matter where you go in this kingdom? And I don't think a lot of people like to see it that way. And I still don't think it's 100% taught that way in this day and age. We like to hold on to the rules, and we like to, instead of kicking people out into the world, we kind of like have them coming to us all the time because we don't want to give them too much. We just want to give them enough. And I realized that early on because when somebody has a dream, it's unique to them, whatever your dream might be, however big or small it may be. Your dream might be to be a mountain man. Your dream might be to go start a homestead in the wilderness. Your dream might be to go live in the mountain. It's kind of a sad day and age where we think because you are choosing that dream, there's something wrong with you because you don't fit in to the old ways of what's expected with you when it comes to your own religion and spirituality. You're not supposed to be out there. You need to be here with us. We don't want you going too far. And then all of a sudden, that person starts to feel bad about themselves because they have this dream and they want to go out there and this is what they want to do, but then they also have to leave what they think is best for them in order to do it. And then all of a sudden guilt and shame start getting involved, and it's like, man, why am I such a bad person for having this feeling inside of me to go out into the world and to just live the way I want? I'm not a bad person. I'm not going to break any moral or ethical rules. I'm going to keep God in my heart. I'm going to do my best to understand the truth that God left me with, teachings of Jesus, New Testament. But I just feel that's the way I want to spend my experience, here on earth. Now, a dream like that for somebody never seemed possible to me. That requires a new way of thinking in order for somebody to do that. That requires a way for them in their own minds and in their own hearts to be able to realize something that other people can't see or don't necessarily want them to. Now, is that dream a possibility? I 100% think so, because with God, all things are possible. And I don't think the purpose of God is necessarily to constrain us, to use His name to constrain us in a way, but for us to glorify His name, for almost setting ourselves free to see what we can do and to show Him what we can do, where we can go, and how we can get there. But in order to have that life, you need to discover something in a new way that's unique to you, that still is going to give you all the green lights for being a good person, but opens the door to wanting to live that life for yourself and not making you feel bad or guilty about it. And that's kind of what I saw for myself when I went out into the world, when I started traveling. One of my dreams was to see the world. Like, I want to go out there. I want to see what is in God's kingdom. And for a long time, I felt bad of that dream. Why? Because it took me away from the church. Church made me feel like it was a sin. Now I'm breaking rules intentionally. But I never saw those rules in the teachings for myself. I always saw it as taking this new information, or taking the information that I have new in front of me for the places I want to go, and putting it into a new frame of mind, a new spiritual framework for myself, because that's what's going to open the door to that. It's almost like we have to take, the truths will never change. I believe the truths don't have to change because they are good the way they are. They are going to withstand time. They're not going away. To treat others the way you want to be treated, that ain't going away. And you can't make it simpler than that. Believing in something greater than yourself, having faith, these are all great truths that were given to us through Jesus' parables and whatnot. They don't need to be redone. They don't need to be any better. But what they need to do, in my opinion, is to promote more people from going out and following that intuition within themselves. Follow where the voice is going, because the voice isn't going to lead you wrong. If you've seen some of my previous videos, I believe the good voice, the one that has our back, comes from our soul, which comes from God. It's not there to make you a bad person. It's there to make you a better one. So by following that voice, I don't think you're going to commit any harm if you're doing it, while it's rooted in love, and you're using that as the premise for why I'm going out and I'm doing these things. And I feel like that way of thinking kind of gets constricted in this day and age. We're told on one hand we could be anything we want, but then we're told on the others is that we could be anything we want as long as it's these. That's the old wine versus the new wine right there. You could be anything you want, but only if it's this. And I saw that. That's how that verse spoke to me. I know it seems weird. I'm probably the only wacko that actually probably thought of that. But old wine into new wineskins. New information into new wineskins. New wine into new wineskins. The way we believe might be a little bit different than how we were taught to believe 2,000 years ago, because the information age has changed. And I think that's one of the things that just we beat our heads against. It's almost like we're trying to stop changes from happening, and the more we try to hold on to the old ways, the more you have this confrontation, right? But what are we changing? Most of the time, the changes that are being made are just coming down to simple, like, man-made rules made by other men who think that these guidelines are best for everybody when it comes to God. And I'm not talking about morally or ethically questionable things. I'm talking about simple things like when it comes to pursuing your dreams, going where you want to go, living where you want to live, and still being able to feel like it's okay to take God with you while you do all that. And to have somebody stand up and say, go for it, dude. Go for it. Go crush it out there in the world. Wherever you go, you go. But just remember, you got to have God in your heart in order to do it. And you got to have truth with you to help guide you. And it's all right there. It's all given to us in 4 short, simple books. And then that's what we take and that's what we build on. It's almost like the freedoms that are involved with that are just unbelievable when you think about it. The life you could build, the life you can live. I mean, think about the possibility that's out there, but then also think about the possibilities that get shut right in front of us because we don't believe we can do it. Crazy when you think about that. And also the guilt that comes out of it. It's hard enough being told you're born or with sin, right? But what about the sin of letting a dream slip by, never taking a leap of faith to go chase it? That's a sin. That's not talked about. And I don't know. I don't know why I felt like sharing that with you guys, but I did because I think I felt that way for a long time. That we live in this day and age where we have so much access to information. But the way that we're brought up is in a way that people might not understand generations and generations ago. And you could see that. Go into a post office. I mean, I went into a post office a few years ago and I felt so bad. This little lady sitting there, she can't figure out how to get a Trump stimulus check because it was all online. And she was still trying to figure out the paperwork that was like 5 pages long. There was this gap between the old way of doing things and the new way of doing things. And I think there's a huge gap when it comes to the old way we were taught to understand things and the new way that we should be taught to understand things. I mean, what's worse than stifling your own soul when it comes to not listening to it or going where you think it's telling you to go? Now, you can't do it, but it's going to require a different way to think about doing it. And that way is going to be scary because a lot of people that we ask for the advice on that don't know how to give it to us because they've never done it. And when they've never done it, they're going to tell you that it's wrong to think that way. But what are we really doing here? We're not being bad people. We're not committing a mortal sin. We want to discover the true self, our true self. We want to see where we can go and what we can do in this lifetime. I think that's what life is all about. Is it not about the continual challenges and growth and everything that we get to experience here? It's not easy, and life isn't supposed to be easy, and anybody that tells you it is lying. I think we could all establish that. But accomplishing things is a good feeling. Going out and pursuing something is a good feeling. And if it's not making you a bad person, then I don't think it's anybody's place to tell you that perhaps it's wrong, because who are you going to believe? You got to believe yourself. Then, if nobody else believes you and you believe in yourself, what's the next thing that could probably help you out? Like myself, I go to the Bible. I go to Jesus. What does he say in accordance with what I want to do where I want to go, and what do I get out of that? Right? What wisdom is he teaching me? And then you hold both those in alignment with God in your heart and soul, and you go. It's yours, man. Throw it into a backpack and go. See what's out there. That's just kind of how I felt. Now, I don't want to give anybody that advice. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that's something that I did, and these are just the way that the ways that I think, and some of the things I've thought, along the ways with when it came to my own spirituality, when it came to the religion I was taught versus what I discovered for myself on my own. And it's a weird feeling to be in that place when nobody understands. It's a weird feeling. Yeah, it's weird. Weird. And I think it's just because nobody else is meant to understand it. In order to get something you've never gotten, you have to be willing to do something you've never done. And I think it requires a different framework in order to obtain those. And the most important thing is the spiritual framework. And having a good, sound spiritual framework that's built on a foundation of truth that you discover, that Jesus gave you to discover, and using that truth to help make one of your possibilities and turn it into a reality, I think is a pretty cool thing. But anyway, guys, that's all I got for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you did. Subscribe because you want to. Maybe a thumbs up. Like, yeah, dude, I'm with ya. All right. Well, anyway, I'll catch you on the next one. And remember, keep the faith.